Hi guys, and welcome to the Fleetwood vs Sunderland match review. So I do apologise that this is quite a late review. I was working after the game yesterday. I've just come home from work now this morning. And it's probably for the best really, because I'm not going to lie, after that game I was absolutely livid. I was absolutely fuming, as you can imagine, and I know that you guys enjoy watching me scream and shout and swear, but I'm not really going to do that in this video. I might drop a few F-bombs here and there, but other than that, I'm not going to raise my voice too much. But it was an absolutely gut-wrenching result yesterday at Fleetwood. You know, to be 10 minutes left in the game, 2-0 up, you'd expect us, particularly with the run of form that we're in at the moment and the way we've played so far this season, you'd expect us to come away with the 3 points and to come away with only one. It's a sickener. It is a sickener. Now, before the game, you know, if you told me we're going to draw 2-2, would it have been the worst result in the world away from home, you know, against Fleetwood, who have just come away with a 4-2 win from Rotherham, who, you know, I think, and I've said in a preview to this game, you know, I think Rotherham will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. You know, Fleetwood just beat them 4-2, as I mentioned. Would it have been the worst result in the world, you know, drawing against him, plus at a place in Highbury where it's been such a bogeygram for us? Would it have been the worst result? Probably not. But the manner in which we have drew 2-2, for me, it was pathetic, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's probably the best word I can use to describe it. It was pathetic. And like I say, I will give credit to Fleetwood because, again, they are a good side, but it's just the manner in which we got away with just a point. It's sickening, and I can only repeat that. But yeah, getting into the review. So we started with Hoffman in goal. Across the back, we had Winchester, we had Doyle, we had Bailey Wright, who come in for the suspended Flanagan. We had Sirkin at left back. In the middle, we had O'Nien and Dhannoo. Then we had the usual suspects with McGeady, Embleton and Gooch in behind Ross Stewart. So we get into the game, and I feel like from the off, really, we had we pretty much had control of it. You know, at times I think we lived life on the edge. Apologies. Lived like a life on the edge, should I say? In terms of, you know, we play this really close-quartered sort of triangle passing, but sometimes we do it in really dangerous areas, and when it comes off, it looks brilliant, but it is dangerous. And a couple of times in the opening few moments, we lost the ball, tried to do these quick, you know, cheeky diamonds on the edge of the box, and we lose it. And then luckily, you know, these passages of play come to nothing for Fleetwood. But eventually, we did get it sort of more under control. We're pushing further up the pitch, playing some really good slick passing. You know, our press was fantastic. Every time Fleetwood tried to come forward, we had 2 or 3 men beat Daniel, Luke O'Nien, Embleton tracking back in literally like almost like a triangle, type just squeezing onto a player. We were nicking it off him, going at them again, and it was just happening time and time again. And the first chance of the game, it was sort of through that. And a quick play, you know, with Winchester, who was just barreling and bombing behind, you know, the likes of Gooch and overlapping him there. It was so dangerous. A brilliant move that linked up with the likes of Embleton, Neil, Winchester, who overlapped Gooch, as I say, whipped a ball in, and there was the Loch Ness Drogba who nodded it at the back post, but it went straight to the keeper. But that was just the first sign of things to come. And I feel like we were really, really dominant in that sense. You know, as soon as we got the ball, it was bang, go for it. And we looked really, really good. That first half, I think we looked absolutely fantastic for large parts. And eventually we did break the deadlock, and I think it was absolutely deserved. It was a ball in from Embleton, pinpoint, excellent header from Ross Stewart, who nods it into the near corner to make it 1-0. So I'm thinking, right, we're playing sailing here. We're still making chances. But then, you know, you have to give it to Fleetwood. They were making chances of their own, and their number 9 up top, you know, he's a quick, strong lad, and he was beating Bailey Wright in the air all day long. But the thing that was more worrying for me is it literally took a couple of hoofs. You know, it's direct football that was completely undoing our defence, and it happened in the first half a couple of times. One time, you know, it got him behind, ball over the top. He's one-on-one with the keeper. Hoffman, who I'm going to say now, was absolutely outrageous. He was unbelievable yesterday. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 if I could. Some of the saves that lad made was outrageous. You could make a compilation of this lad just from that game alone yesterday. And that's, again, giving credit to Fleetwood because they had to have tested the keeper to make him pull out those saves. But he was absolutely outstanding. But this one looks like I say over the top. It was the first sort of scare over the top. 1-1 the keeper. Hoffman makes himself big. Great save. That's quickly followed by a scramble. And it ends up with Hoffman putting a sliding challenge in with his feet, last ditch, on their strikers. A perfectly timed challenge as well. It was proper Manuel Neuer-like. I think they get it away. We get it away. And it's it just shown, you know, what he can do. You know, he could play centre-back if he needed to. So I was really pleased with that because I felt like he was a bit shaky in his previous game. But there was another chance as well where they did ping it and it was going right in the top corner, right in the top bins, and he's managed to parry it over the bar somehow. No idea how he does that. but he does. But that was sort of the latter stages of that first half. But up until that point, we were relatively dominant. I feel like we were quite comfortable. But like I say, the sort of end, sort of 5-10 minutes, we did kind of give it to them. Fleetwood were always going to have passages of play, always, because like I say, they are a good team. I didn't expect us to have 90 minutes pure dominance. I didn't, particularly being away from home, and again, Fleetwood being a decent side. So yeah, it goes to half time, 1-0. I think it's deserved. We've looked the better side. We've made more than enough chances to be in front. Their keepers made a couple of great saves as well. McGeady for me down that left hand side. I think he was good. I've seen a few people say that it should have come off a lot earlier and stuff like that, and I don't get that, because for me I felt like Gooch was actually quite poor. And McGeady, at times when we had nothing going forward really, it was McGeady that was dragging us forward, and he was one who was cutting in from left to right as he does and really testing the keeper. And that keeper, Cairns, he made a couple of cracking saves as well. Sirkin, for me, I will give him a shout out as well before we continue with the review. I think he was absolutely phenomenal defensively. He was absolutely excellent. Now, for me, and I did say this on Twitter, and I actually deleted the tweet because people seem to take things the wrong way and think that I'm just slating a player. When it was merely an observation. With Sirkin, he was brilliant defensively, and he has been. He looks like such a good fullback, a brilliant fullback. Now, all I was saying is that something I'd noticed, which it might be an instruction from Lee Johnson, is, there'll be times where he will bring it forward, then he'll give it to McGeady, but then he'll kind of stand still, or he'll be static. His movement, as soon as you give it, I wanted to get in behind him and give McGeady that other option so we can take the extra step forward, because there was too many times where I felt like Sirkin, although, like I say, defensively, he was absolutely solid, 10 out of 10. I'll give him that. He was winning everything in the air, brilliant interceptions. He brought it forward well, but then, like I say, I'll give it to McGeady and he'll stand still, or he'll start jogging backwards. I'm thinking, get involved with the attack. You've got a good delivery on you. Get involved. Now, people argued with that, that McGeady can't track back and he can't cover. That's why maybe Lee Johnson say, don't get in behind, because if McGeady loses it, then we're screwed back there. Which, I suppose I do get, but then I just feel like it's such a missed opportunity, because I do think he's dangerous going forward. He can be dangerous going forward, Sirkin. I just feel like, again, sometimes he drive us forward, Sirkin, give it to McGeady, but then McGeady's he's man-marked. He's got 2 or 3 men up against him, but then Sirkin stood still behind him. I'm just thinking, if he's made that running behind, then it'd be even more dangerous. But either way, that was my only sort of qualm with it. And again, like I say, it could have easily been an instruction. McGeady doesn't have the legs to track back like he used to, or at least just track back anyway. But yeah, that was my only sort of qualm. Maybe not even a qualm. It's just not an observation. Do you know what I mean? Let me know what you think about that anyway in the comments. It probably is an instruction. I just think that if he added that to his game, that element of getting in behind and getting to the byline, he would almost be the perfect fullback, particularly for this league, Sirkin. That's all I was saying. It'd make him such a more well-rounded player. But either way, yeah, so half-time, 1-0, it's deserved. Now, this is where my annoyance really starts coming to play. Even though we were still 1-0 up, went into second half, I feel like we came out, and for me, I can't tell you what happens behind closed doors. I can't tell you what Lee Johnson's told the lads in the dressing room, but for me, those lot came out, they were 5-6 yards deeper, the tempo had dropped considerably, the press was no longer existing, and I just thought, has Lee Johnson told them, let's sit on this 1-goal lead for 45 minutes, because we just didn't do anything. We offered next to nothing. We really did. We sat back. Again, I expect Fleetwood to have periods with the ball. Of course I do. But we offered nothing. The press wasn't really there. We just kind of sat back and allowed them to move it around. And don't get me wrong, they didn't really test Hoffman too much for parts of that second half. But we weren't testing them as well. But the one time we did go forward, McGeady cutting from left to right, and again, this was a save from Cairns that was absolutely insane. He cuts him from left to right, McGeady again dragging us forward when we had no attacking options at all, drags us in from left to right, he tries to ping it into that top left-hand corner, and Cairns somehow tips it over the bar, relatively similar to the Hoffman save in the first half, but absolutely outstanding, the goalkeeper there. But like I say, we didn't really offer much, and 10 minutes into the game, that was just 10-15 minutes into the second half. And then, what really dumbfounds me here is the little bit of energy that we did have to break us forward in the middle was Dhannoo, and I don't think Dhannoo was having a bad game at all. I can understand that at this point, Fleetwood were having a decent spell of possession, and maybe Lee Johnson's thought was, let's try and, grab hold of the ball again, try and gain a bit of possession, but the one bit of energy, the one bit of, oomph in midfield that was really dragging us forward was Dhannoo, and he's brought him off. And he's brought on Evans, which again, he might be trying to steady the ship or what, but we've already come out looking defensive as hell. Then he's brought off our one bit of energy. Of course, Luke O'Nien has energy to track back and what have you, but he's more, for me, Luke O'Nien isn't someone who I'd usually expect to bomb forward with the ball. It's not like he's never done it before, of course, but Daniel's the one who's sort of the orchestrating midfielder with the energy. He bursts forward and he has that creative spark as well for me. But to then bring that off, you've throttled us already. Lee Johnson. Do you know what I mean? It's already throttled us for no real reason. I didn't think that sub was necessary. He was kind of asking for it. And then eventually, you know, even though there was not much in the game at all at this point, and there was a couple of scary moments where, you know, a ball, again, it was just a hoof over the top, Bailey Wright out position. And then number 9 again, one-on-one with the keeper, and he's made a little bit of a mess of it, really. But Winchester manages to come in and track back and nick it away from him for a corner. But other than that, nothing really was happening too much. But we did manage to get a penalty. Now, this is where things start to get really controversial, right? Because the ball comes in, and at first, I had no idea why the penalty was given. It was soft as hell. Don't get me wrong, it was very soft. Well, I say soft. I can understand why the ref has given it, because their lad is literally, as Lee Johnson described it, he was giving Luke O'Nien a bear hug. But we see this time and time again, week in, week out. And if this is the standard, that is a level that you're going to give penalties for, then we should be seeing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 penalties a game. Do you know what I mean? You would see them a hell of a lot more often. But he's given it. Was it soft? Yes. But I can kind of see why. So anyway, McGeady steps up, buries it to make it 2-0. 5 minutes later, Bailey Wright again. Oh, it's just such shite defending. It really is shite defending. Don't get me wrong. It's a good ball through to the lad. Don't get me wrong. But they come in from right to left, the Fleetwood midfielder. Then Bailey Wright, he gets sucked into the action. It's such an inexperienced rookie error, for someone who's played a lot of the majority of his career in the Championship. It's such a rookie error. He gets sucked into the action. Rather than sticking with his man, he gets sucked into it. He brings himself into the middle for some reason, leaving a gaping hole behind him. And there he is, the number 9. He slips it past Hoffman. Nothing he could do, really. He probably deserved to go all their number 9. He was a real thorn in our side and their main, only real threat, to be honest with you, with no disrespect to Fleetwood. He was their only real threat throughout the afternoon. Good player. And he slips it past Hoffman. So again, Bailey Wright, I think he was shocking yesterday. I think he was genuinely shocking. He really was. But then, not too long left. We bring on a defender. We bring off, was it McGeady? I think we may have brought off McGeady. I can't really remember now. Or Embleton, either way, whatever. We did bring on Broadhead earlier on. So, I can't go too mad at Lee Johnson. But again, it was the same sort of tactic of bringing on a defender and trying to see out a game when Fleetwood were on top, But I feel like what annoys me the most, I would understand this tactic, right? I would understand this tactic if we had shown nothing throughout the game. If we had been dominated by Fleetwood, or Fleetwood had the majority of possession throughout the game, I would understand this a lot more. But to go out in the second half, look so defensive, bring on defensive reinforcements only, not bring on the likes of Jaku or anyone like that, or Pritchard, that's something that really, really annoys me. Because I feel like all we needed was that little bit of spark and a little bit of energy to push us forward with Dan Neil in there. And then if we did have the likes of Broadhead coming on, or if you did bring Jaku on, to give us that bit of energy again, a bit of electricity again to go forward. But instead, it's sat back. And to be fair, this is the tactic he has used every single game this season. We have gone forward, and then he's thrown an extra defender on towards the latter stages of the game, and he tries to sit back on it, which is, something we have seen. And I'm not, this is probably the first time I am going to give a bit of a dig to Lee Johnson, because I think his game management yesterday, it was poor in that sense. It was very, very poor. But he's gone for what he's done in every game. And like I say, the likes of Jack Ross and Phil Parkhurst, they did a very similar thing, where we get in front and we just try and sit on it, we defend. And we'd already shown more than enough in the first half to suggest that we can go on to get 2, 3, 4. Of course, we did get the second by, bit stroke up maybe with the penalty. But we already did enough for me to suggest that we can go on and really take this game to him. But instead, he sat on it. And against a team like Fleetwood, and against any team anyway, if you keep doing that same tactic, you're eventually going to get caught out. And that's what we did. We deserved to probably concede, because we sat back and we bent over. That's what we did. Broadhead come on. He did look a bit lively at times, but he ended up being quite a frustrated figure up top by himself, because we're all sat back. We're sat back, and they end up pinning us back in our half, and or into our box pretty much for large parts of the final sort of 5-10 minutes. And one thing that frustrates me as well, don't get me wrong, I know Fleetwood fans, I've spoke to a couple of them already. A lad who I worked with this morning come in, and who's a Fleetwood fan, I had a chat with him as well. The ref was terrible for both sides. But I said, even on Twitter, with 5 minutes to go, I said, I'll just await the 20-minute added time, joking obviously, but every single game so far we've had 5, 6, 7 minutes added on, when I don't know where the fuck they get that from. Then lo and behold, 5 minutes is added on. I have no idea where the hell that has come from. No idea. Don't get me wrong, Fleetwood for some reason threw a flare on the pitch. But to be fair, give credit to the stewards, they got rid of it within 20 odd seconds. Ross Stewart went down, I think, because he rolled his ankle, but he was again up within 15, 20 seconds. Other than that, you've got the subs. So where the fuck you find 5 minutes from? I have no idea. Apparently, there's actually a statistic where every single game this season with Sunderland, it's been over 5 minutes added time, apart from the game in which we were losing against Burton. So I don't know. I'm not suggesting that there's obviously there's a sort of a scandal against us, but it's just very fucking annoying, as you can imagine. But anyway, on to the penalty. Now, it's probably, the ref has definitely made a rod for his own back, as Lee Johnson did say after the game, because he's already set a precedent and a standard of, if you touch anyone in the box, I'm going to give a penalty. And, Fleetwood, the fans, they make a decent atmosphere. He probably felt a bit forced by the fans. But a ball's gone in, it's going over the top. It's going nowhere near the lad anyway, and it's going to go right through to Hoffman. But Baylor out for some reason decides to start wrangling him, pulling on his shirt. Don't get me wrong, it was literally a second. It was a split second where he just grabbed his shirt and he's yanked his shirt a bit. Was it soft? Yes, it was absolutely soft as fuck. But as was the first one with 09, the ref is giving it. And the goal is scored in the 97th minute. A penalty is scored in the 97th minute of 5 minutes added on. And it's just absolutely fucking typical, of course. And then the Captain Pugwash tune plays, rings around the ground. And it's just, I get PTSD every time I hear that fucking tune. I really do. But yeah, 2-2. Very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. There's a lot of things to take into consideration there with the game management. Again, I think it was poor from Lee Johnson. He went defensive far too early. Really negative in that second half. And, you have to give credit to Fleetwood. They are a good side and they look decent. I think they'll be fine this season. But I just feel like the way we handled and managed that game, it was atrocious, and I feel sorry for Sunderland fans that went, to see that, because I think the first half shown plenty of promise, even though Fleetwood had their spells, which they're going to. But the second half, it was almost like we looked deflated, we looked dejected for large parts of that second half, and we asked for it, we bent over, and we got what we deserved. I think it was poor. Now, hopefully, going forward, we play Wigan in the cup on Tuesday. Now, a lot of people will probably just say, "Oh, it's only the cup. Put out a shit team, or put out a second string, should I say? Shit team's a bit harsh. A second string, and then focus on the league." Which, of course, the league is the priority. But for me, personally, against Wigan, I think we should put out maybe not the strongest team possible, but nigh on one of the strongest teams possible. And the only reason I say that is because of the opposition. Because I do think mentally this is going to be a big game. Because if you look at the table now, we've dropped down to second. Wigan have gone up on with level on points, but goal difference is in Wigan's favour. But I think mentally with the players, they know that is essentially top of the table clash, regardless of whether it's been in the cup. So we want to try and get a win over them, away from home as well, because mentally that could do so much for the lads. So I just hope to God Lee Johnson doesn't go for a defensive, negative system and just hopes to ride a storm against Wigan, because I think it'll just do so much damage to the players mentally, if that makes sense. And then, of course, hopefully we can go back to the Stadium Light of the weekend, the following weekend against Bolton, and get back to winning ways, which I really hope we do. But I just think it needs to be managed properly, this cup game as well against Wigan. Now, speaking of the Wigan game, I am going to be going. I have managed to get myself a ticket. David Hindmarsh, who's also on SAFC David from YouTube, he's managed to get me a ticket. So thanks to him, class guy. So I'll be going. I don't think there'll be a preview to the game because I'm working up until the point pretty much like a couple of hours before kickoff, and I'm working all tomorrow as well. And plus, I don't think there's going to be a review to that game because basically I won't get home until stupid o'clock, and then I'm working all day and that the following day. So yeah, just know I will be at the game. And if you're going as well, don't hesitate to say hi. It'd be nice to see you guys as usual. But that's it, guys. I've rambled on for far too long now. Jesus Christ, this is a hell of a long review. But I don't know. I felt like if I did do a review after the game yesterday, and I was working so I couldn't, but if I did, it would have just been me screaming and shouting for 8, 9, 10 minutes. But I'd rather discuss it properly because it is our first sort of gut-wrenching sort of result this season. So it's good to discuss the negatives as well as the positives. But what did you think of the game anyway? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It's always massively appreciated. It really, really is. So please hit the like button if you don't usually, and you do regularly watch the content. I really would appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care. Stay jamming.